Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're digging into today's stack of articles and research, pulling out those crucial insights and the surprising facts. We want to give you a real shortcut to being well-informed.
Exactly.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating, intricate world of the global auction house market. Think of it as a kind of dynamic barometer for shifts in global wealth, cultural value, maybe.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, let's unpack its trajectory. We're looking at data from 2021, projecting through 2025 and all the way out to 2033.
And what's truly striking right from the outset is just the sheer scale and, well, the projected growth of this market.
Okay.
So back in 2021, the global auction house market, it was already nearing an impressive $18 billion, almost, $17,690 million to be precise.
Wow. Okay, nearly $18 billion starting point.
Exactly. But the trajectory is really exciting. It's projected to climb over $21,488 million by 2025.
Right.
And then soar past $31 billion, $31,704 million by 2033.
That's quite a jump.
It is, and that reflects a pretty steady global compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, which for you is basically the smoothed-out average annual growth over that whole period of nearly 5%, 4.982% to be exact.
Okay.
So what really jumps out at you about those initial global numbers?
It's that consistency that catches my eye. Almost 5% CAGR. Like you said, it isn't just a flash in the pan, is it?
No, not at all.
It suggests a deep, sustained demand, something, fundamental to this market.
Precisely.
And when we drill down, that consistency seems almost amplified in certain regions, like North America, which really continues to be a market leader.
Absolutely. Dominant.
Yeah. So in 2021, North America alone generated sales, what was it, around $7.9 billion, $7,907.59 million. And that's expected to climb to over $9.4 billion by 2025.
$9,465.46 million.
Right. And then a massive $13.5 billion by 2033. $13,569.3 million.
It's huge.
And within North America, the United States just holds such a dominant position.
It really does.
It's set to grow from nearly $6.5 billion in 2021, $6,492.13 million to almost $11 billion by 2033.
$10,995.2 million.
With a steady CAGR of about 4.5%.
Yeah, 4.488%.
Yeah.
And Canada and Mexico are also seeing, healthy, steady increases too. Canada moving towards $1.6 billion, Mexico nearing $1 billion by 2033.
Absolutely. And that consistent leadership in North America, it really speaks volumes.
How so?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it signifies a deeply mature market. You have an incredibly stable collector base, established infrastructure.
Right. It's not just New York or LA.
Exactly. It's not just a few major cities. It's really a regional powerhouse. No. The appetite for fine art, luxury goods, collectibles, it's just deeply entrenched there.
Right.
And this stability provides a significant foundation for the entire global market.
That makes perfect sense. So, okay, if North America is the established titan, how does Europe fit into this picture, given its own, very rich history in art and auctions?
Europe's market is certainly substantial, and it's poised for significant expansion as well.
We see revenues climbing from just under $4 billion in 2021, $3,856.5 million, to over $6.5 billion by 2033, $6,531.03 million.
Okay, solid growth too.
Definitely. And while the UK and Germany kind of lead the charge there.
Right, UK moving towards $900 million, Germany maybe $1.4 billion.
Exactly. Germany hitting $1,363 million, UK $892 million by 2033. But what's really notable is how broadly consistent the growth is across Western and Northern Europe.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, countries like France, Italy, Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, they're all seeing healthy CAGRs, somewhere between 3% and about 5.2%.
So pretty stable across the board there.
It really speaks to that healthy market stability. Mature market with enduring cultural value placed on auctions.
Got it.
Russia, interestingly, shows a slightly slower pace, around 3% CAGR, which just highlights the diverse economic landscapes even within, a single continent.
That's a great point about the varied European landscape. Okay, let's turn our attention now to Asia Pacific, because it seems like it's showing some of the most dynamic, fastest growing trends.
Oh, absolutely. This region is truly surging.
Right. Starting at around $3.2 billion in 2021, $3,184.26 million, and projected to more than double.
More than double.
To over $6.5 billion, $6,562.74 million by 2033. And that's driven by an impressive average growth rate, a CAGR of over 6.2%. 6.218%.
It's remarkable.
What's fueling that incredible acceleration in places like China and India?
Well, what's fascinating here isn't just the sheer growth number, that 6.2%, but how diverse its drivers are.
Okay.
We're seeing a significant surge in demand. Contemporary Asian art, luxury goods, even rare collectibles. And it seems fueled by, well, a new generation of high net worth individuals.
Right.
And also a rapidly expanding middle class.
So broader participation.
Exactly. China, for instance, is projected to reach over $2.2 billion, 2,201.8 million by 2033.
Big number.
Huge. And India shows an even stronger growth rate, a TAGR over 7%, 7.013%.
Wow, over 7%.
Yeah, hitting over $1 billion, the 1,076.29 million by 2033. It's not just them.
Right.
Countries like Singapore, Southeast Asia as a whole, Taiwan, they're also posting really impressive key DRs. Singapore at 6.6%, Southeast Asia nearly 7%, 6.953%, Taiwan almost 6%, 5.938%.
So across the board, really strong performance.
It showcases this dynamic interplay between, cultural heritage and emerging wealth. You also have steady growth in Japan, South Korea, Australia too. It's a market that's both maturing in some aspects and experiencing this, well, explosive expansion in others.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, if we're seeing a fundamental shift in where global wealth is being, invested or displayed.
It certainly points that way.
And speaking of growth, what about South America? Does it sort of mirror this renewed interest in collectibles?
It absolutely does, yeah.
Yeah?
South America's market demonstrates really robust growth, moving from about $1.2 billion, 1,220.64 million in 2021, to over $2.2 billion, 2,257.96 million by 2033. And it's maintaining a solid average growth rate, too. The CAGR over 5.2%, 5.247%.
So keeping pace nicely.
Definitely. And countries like Brazil, Argentina, and Chile are truly leading the charge here, all with KGRs over 5%.
Right. So what does that signify?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just about general economic growth, though that's part of it. It really points to a significant renewed interest in both regional and international collectibles.
Oh, okay.
It indicates that this market is becoming a more vibrant part of the global auction landscape. It's about, more diverse sources contributing to the market's overall vitality. Peru, Colombia, the rest of South America are following too.
That increasing diversification seems like a really key takeaway here.
It is.
Okay, moving on to a region that's seeing some fascinating acceleration in the Middle East. Here's where it gets really interesting with another promising landscape. What's driving such significant growth there?
The Middle East is certainly a promising landscape, like you said, expected to grow from just under $1 billion, 955.279 million in 2021, to over 1.7 billion, 1,749.1 million by 2033.
Still solid growth.
Very solid. The UAE, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia are particularly strong contributors. UAE growing fastest at almost 6%, 5.85%, Turkey over 5.4%, Saudi over 5.2%.
And what's behind that?
What's compelling here, I think, is the development of a more sophisticated auction infrastructure.
Right.
Paired with increasing regional wealth. But this raises an important question, maybe. What's driving this trend? It seems to be a growing culture of asset management, or maybe asset liquidation,
Interesting.
where high-end bidding is becoming a more common way to acquire and maybe even liquidate valuable assets. Everything from art to luxury real estate, Egypt, Qatar, rest of Middle East showing strong numbers too.
A growing culture of high-end bidding. That's fascinating. And finally, let's unpack what's happening in Africa. How does that continent factor into the global auction picture?
Yeah, Africa's market, while currently smaller in scale compared to others, is definitely showing impressive growth potential.
Okay.
It's projected to almost double, from just over $500 million, 566.091 million in 2021, to over $1 billion, 1,033.87 million by 2033.
Doubling is significant even from a smaller base.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what truly stands out about Africa's market, I think, is the increasing participation of its emerging economies, particularly Nigeria and South Africa. Their CRs are solid, between roughly 4 and 5%, 3.8% to 5.1%.
So what does that increasing participation suggest?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it signifies not just economic growth, but also growing access to and integration into global markets for collectibles and assets.
Right.
And this is happening both through traditional auction houses and, importantly, increasingly through digital platforms.
Ah, the digital angle again.
Exactly. It points towards emerging economies participating more fully in both digital and traditional auction environments.
So, okay, we've done a whirlwind tour of the globe here. After taking this deep dive into all these regions, what does this all mean for the overall global auction house market?
I think what we've seen clearly points to a stable, robust, upward trajectory globally.
Yeah.
That initial nearly 5% CNEGIR holds up.
Right. Steady growth overall.
Yeah, exactly. And while traditional markets in, say, Europe and North America remain significant powerhouses, absolutely.
Still the biggest pieces of the pie?
For now, yes. But emerging regions like Asia-Pacific, South America, and the Middle East are, well, they're catching up quickly.
Yeah.
With Asia-Pacific truly leading the pace with those high growth rates, over 6%, it really looks like a dynamic shift of activity and influence is underway.
Exactly. And, why should you care about these numbers? We've thrown a lot of figures around. But understanding these shifts in the auction house market, it isn't just about art or antiques, is it?
Not at all.
It's really about understanding broader shifts in global wealth, how cultural value is being expressed, maybe exchanged, and just the increasing economic interconnectedness of our world.
Well said. And maybe this raises an important question for you, the listener, to consider.
Okay.
How might these trends that we're seeing in the auction house market reflect even broader global economic shifts? Perhaps in where new wealth is accumulating, or maybe changes in how people choose to store and display their assets.
Good question.
And think about that interplay we touched upon, especially with Africa, between the traditional and the digital auction environments. What might that mean for the future of value exchange worldwide?
Lots to think about there.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the global auction house market. We really hope this has given you a clearer picture and maybe sparked some new curiosities.
Hope so.
We invite you to continue exploring. Welcome to our deep dive. Today we're looking into a world often seen as, well, pretty exclusive, maybe even a bit old-fashioned, the auction house market.
Right, but it's actually undergoing this massive transformation right now.
Exactly. It's this fascinating intersection of tradition and, frankly, radical innovation. We're going to unpack how things like art, collectibles, luxury goods are being bought and sold today.
Yeah, the dynamics are shifting fast.
Our mission really is to cut through the noise, look at the key forces, the surprising facts, and give you a shortcut to understanding this really dynamic sector.
And what's truly amazing, I think, is the speed. How quickly these, very traditional models are having to adapt. It's technology, sure, but also shifting investor interest. We'll get into not just what's changing, but why it actually matters for investments, for global commerce. It's got big implications.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What's really fueling this change? Our sources, particularly cognitive market research, point to three big drivers. First off, and that's a huge one, the rise of online platforms.
Oh, absolutely. Can't overstate that.
Think about it, the convenience. Digital bidding systems mean you can participate in real time from anywhere, globally. This isn't just a small adjustment. It's fundamentally changed the game. It brings in a much broader client base, boosts transaction volume significantly. It's a key growth pillar for, both the big established houses and the newer players.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, that global accessibility, it just completely changes who can even get involved, right? It's democratizing access to things that used to be really geographically locked down.
Totally. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, especially for many of you listening, the huge surge in alternative investment.
Right. Things beyond stocks and bonds.
Exactly. Collectibles. We're talking fine art, sure, but also vintage furniture, rare coins, even sports memorabilia. These are increasingly seen as, legitimate asset classes.
Alternatives, yeah.
And auction houses are perfectly positioned to capitalize. They offer that verified provenance, the transparent valuations, things that are absolutely critical for building investor trust and, getting those high-value sales.
It does raise that interesting question, though. In today's, let's say, volatile economic climate, are collectibles becoming a new kind of safe harbor, a way to diversify?
Seems like it.
The market's certainly acting like it, and the auction houses are scrambling, well, not scrambling, adapting quickly to meet that demand.
The third key driver, it's the increased engagement from high net worth individuals, HNWIs.
The big collectors.
Right. This group is using auction houses more than ever to get their hands on really rare, really exclusive items. And it's not just about investment sometimes, it's about acquiring unique pieces.
Status, passion.
For sure. So in response, the auction houses are stepping up their game. They're curating these incredibly bespoke luxury experiences just for them. Think private previews, concierge bidding services, exclusive invite-only events.
It really highlights something important, doesn't it? Even in this super digital age, that personalized, high-touch service, it's still absolutely critical, especially at the top end with elite clients and, really high-value deals.
Yeah, good point. But of course, it's not all exponential growth and smooth sailing.
Yeah.
This transformation comes with its own set of, well, hurdles. Our source material points out some pretty significant challenges.
Always does.
One major restraint is regulatory uncertainty. It gets complicated, especially for cross-border auction deals.
Yeah, nightmare.
You've got complex taxes, import duties, different compliance rules in every country. It can really drive up operational costs. And honestly, it can discourage international buyers and sellers from even participating.
It really shows the friction, doesn't it? In a globalized market, you have this amazing digital access, but the regulations haven't always kept pace. Creates real headaches.
Then there's the ever-present worry about authenticity and fraud,
Big one.
especially in those high-value categories,
Yes.
art, jewelry, rare watches. The risk of counterfeits, it just eats away at buyer trust.
Fundamentally.
Now, auction houses are investing heavily in authentication experts, technology, scientific analysis, but that adds to their overhead, adds complexity, and it makes buyers, particularly less experienced ones, pretty wary. Limits broader participation.
And what's fascinating there is that it's this continuous arms race, isn't it? Between the fraudsters and the verification methods. Technology helps verification, but it can also help the fakers.
True.
Trust is just the absolute bedrock currency in this market. Without it, the whole thing crumbles.
Another hurdle mentioned is the industry's, perhaps, over-reliance on traditional business models.
The old ways.
Yeah. Many established houses still lean very heavily on physical venues, legacy fee structures, things that haven't changed much in decades.
Right.
And in today's world, with these nimble tech-first competitors popping up, those old formats can seem, well, less adaptable, less agile.
Which brings up that classic dilemma. How do you honor your history, your tradition, while still embracing the disruption you need to stay relevant? It's a tough balancing act. So many industries are facing that right now.
Absolutely. So, okay, drivers, hurdles. What does this all mean for the future? Where is it heading? Thankfully, the market isn't just sitting back. There are some really groundbreaking trends emerging, things addressing these challenges head-on.
Innovation kicking in.
Exactly, like hybrid auction formats. These are gaining a lot of traction. They blend the in-person sale room experience with slick digital interfaces.
Best of both worlds, kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You get real-time, live-streamed bidding events, people in the room, people online, all participating together. It massively increases the reach, the number of bidders, how often they participate.
That's a perfect example, I think, of technology not just replacing the old ways, but actually enhancing them, expanding the experience.
Totally. And here's something for the tech enthusiasts listening, digital verification technologies. This is a game changer.
Blockchain AI.
You got it. Blockchain is being used to create these immutable, transparent records of provenance, like a digital passport for an artwork that can't be faked. And AI-driven image recognition tools are getting incredibly good at authenticating items, analyzing brush strokes, material composition, comparing against huge databases to spot fakes.
Wow.
These aren't just, cool gadgets. They are fundamentally reducing the risk of fraud, boosting credibility right across the market, and actually making international deals easier to manage.
It really shows how that digital layer can build trust in ways that, frankly, were impossible before. It adds this whole new level of security for high-value assets.
Yeah, it's huge. And finally, another big trend. There's this growing appetite for niche, really specialized themed auctions.
Getting specific.
Very specific, whether it's vintage watches, rare first edition books, luxury sneakers, maybe even NFTs. These specialized auctions create these really tight-knit communities of collectors.
Like-minded enthusiasts.
Exactly. And these focused events drive incredible engagement. Bidder enthusiasm often goes through the roof, and that frequently leads to higher closing prices. It also helps auction houses diversify, explore totally new revenue streams.
And what's fascinating there is seeing how that specialization builds deeper communities. It taps into specific passions and can unlock value in categories you might not expect. Reflects a broader shift in consumer interests, I think.
So putting it all together, you can see the auction house market isn't just about gavels and grand rooms anymore. Not by a long shot.
No.
It's morphing into this incredibly dynamic, tech AI-powered global marketplace. It's appealing to buyers and collectors everywhere, innovating constantly from, traditional luxury assets right through to digital collectibles. It's quite a ride.
And taking that step back, this deep dive really shows us something fundamental, doesn't it? Even the most sort of venerable established industries aren't immune to change. In fact, they can ultimately thrive because of technological innovation and, crucially, really understanding how their customers are evolving. It's about adaptation.
Well said. Which leaves us with a final question, something for you to think about. As things like digital authentication and truly global access become standard, how might our very definition of ownership or even rarity keep changing, especially in this world of high-value assets and collectibles?
Interesting. Does a digital proof carry the same weight?
Exactly. How does that shape collecting in the future? Something to mull over until our next deep dive.